If you want an energy drink that tastes like a reward, check out Big B Energy Drinks. 3 delicious flavors: strawberry smash, white cherry fizz, and summer melon. Super refreshing, super smooth. It hits the caffeine sweet spot, 80 milligrams per can, made for the people who want something more than soda, but don't need the 300 milligrams energy drink full of jitters. It has a smooth onset with no crash at the end. And the best part, no artificial colors. It's the kind of energy drink that you grab on the way to work, before the gym, or anytime you need to lock in and get something done. Take a sip, thoughtfully crafted, masterfully mixed. You can order online at BigBEnergy.com. Use promo code Goblay10 to save 10% at checkout. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. He is a former collegiate and professional basketball player, and Olympian as well. I want to mention that too. Without further ado, we want to welcome Mr. Bimbo Coles. Bimbo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate you having me on your show.
How are you?
I'm terrific. Hanging out in Bushnell, Florida. So what could be better?
Did you ever think in your wildest, like in your all the things, all places you could be right now, you'd be in Bushnell, Florida, or near Bushnell, Florida at the time, and when you were growing up or during your career or anything, I bet you didn't even know where Bushnell was.
I did not know where Bushnell was. You know, I've been through here a number of times, just, you know, en route from West Virginia to Naples, Florida, and you know, now I don't live far from here, and actually I spend a lot of time here. You know, my 2 favorite places is Walmart and Starbucks.
Yeah, that is my wife and daughter. They love the Starbucks. I'm not a Starbucks person. It's nothing against Starbucks. I just don't. I'm not a coffee person, so I don't really get with the coffee. My wife, you can't talk to her in the morning without coffee. It's like a negotiation. You're like, hey, we need to talk about the day, and she's like, not till I had my coffee.
Yeah, I didn't used to be a coffee person, but I don't know. I started taking. I think I was in Jamaica, and the dude was like, "Hey, you drink coffee or whatever, espresso?" And I was like, "Give me an espresso." And so I kind of have a triple espresso every morning, and it's kind of like all I can have. Mm-hmm. But it's just, it's almost like drinking tequila. You know, it's just like you get that you make that face after every drink, and but it gets me going, and but that's all I have. It's a triple shot of espresso every morning, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, used to do the energy drinks, and I, still sometimes, but not as much as I used to. But I never did coffee. I mean, and every once in a while, like, okay, so I lied. If I'm on vacation and everybody's drinking coffee, I might have a cup of coffee. But my biggest thing is, when I was young, I burned the inside of my mouth with a liquid. It was hot water. I drank hot water by accident. I know people are like, how do you do that? Well, I was in a hurry, and I used to drink, when I would make my breakfast, when I grew up, I still do, instant grits, like the instant packs. So I grew up on those. So I would try to make that real quick for school. And my mom was a teacher, and we were in her class, and the buses, they don't wait on anybody. So the bus would come outside, and like, oh, the bus is here, you need to get going. So I was trying to mix it up real quick, try to eat as much as I could, and I had that hot water, and I thought it was sweet tea. And I just chugged like hot water, and it burned the ends. I mean, it was so bad, Bimbo, that I'm crying. My mom's like, you're going to school. Like, she thought I did it on purpose. Like, you're going to school. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm done. It's like, I'm done. And it was unbelievable. And so since then, when I scalded the inside of my mouth, I can't do hot liquids. So if I cool down, normally if I have coffee, I've got to put ice cubes in it. Now, I know people go, well, just do iced coffee. Duh. But it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Do you have a favorite at Starbucks?
I'm just a triple espresso guy.
That's it? That's what you get?
That's all I drink. I mean, anywhere. I mean, if it's not a Starbucks and I go to a coffee shop, just thinking about being in Lewisburg, West Virginia, there's a place called Wild Bean. And I go there, I have triple espresso. You know, anywhere I go in the world, it's a triple espresso. And
Yeah.
That's it. And that's it.
Can you do a triple espresso with like Cuban coffee? Can you do that, or is that too much?
I think it's too much. I mean, I do like Cuban coffee, and I drink that quite a bit when we go down in the Keys. But it's pretty small.
Yeah.
It's smaller than a trip. It's basically like one shot.
One shot of espresso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy I work with, and he'll make that in the morning because he is Cuban. He's from Key West, but he lived in Key West, moved up here to work, and he is. Every morning I can smell it before I walk in the building. It's so strong. And I'm like, and to me, that makes me like, you know how coffee makes people go to the bathroom? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, dude, why do you keep doing that? I was like, all right, I guess. But it's weird how like stuff like that can affect people. Like, and like I said, I'm not even drinking it. It's just the smelling of it.
Oh, wow.
You know, it must be pretty strong. I can't imagine drinking it.
Yeah, I think, the triple espresso is a laxative. So that's what.
Exactly. All right, so that makes sense. Yeah, I'm probably like people are like, oh my gosh, they're shaking their head like, Billy, you're an idiot. But I'm you don't know unless you do. So and I try to stay away from that kind of stuff because I'm like, man, I'm good on that. I'm good. I don't need to do that. But it's crazy how some things, like where you go in your life and you go to different places and they have like for the longest time, we were just talking about this the other day. For the longest time, down in Florida, especially up north, they didn't have sweet tea. Like you couldn't go to the restaurant. Like you can go to McDonald's now, Taco Bell, Captain D's has the best sweet tea, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but have you ever been to Captain D's?
I have not.
Oh, you're probably like, I would never set foot in there. But anyways, it's a seafood chain like Long John Silver's, but best sweet tea I've ever had. But we were saying that the other day. Like sweet tea is not like something. I remember going to a restaurant and asking for sweet tea, and they looked at me like I had three heads, and they're like, well, why don't you just take the iced tea and put sugar in it?
Yeah.
I said, it's not the same.
It's not the same. I think they cut the sweet tea off like it's a southern thing, but they cut it off at the Georgia-Florida border.
You think so?
I think so because, I lived in Miami for years.
Yes.
And they didn't do sweet tea.
That's right.
And even you go down to Naples, they don't do sweet tea. And I mean, a lot of places around here don't do sweet tea. And I'm just kind of like, I thought sweet tea was like a southern thing, but... And isn't Florida like southern? But I guess it's really not. So
they don't consider us really southern, but I said it's the most southern point you can get.
I know it's kind of wild, but it is so true. But you can go to Georgia and you can get sweet tea anywhere.
Oh yeah. Again, sweet tea. It's so easy to make, and I'm like, that's a gold mine, guys.
It is.
Like you can make it for less than what you make the other things you have, and people enjoy it. They want it. They crave it. And I said, like you said, back in Miami, my buddy got married in Fort Lauderdale. And I remember going to a McDonald's and I'm like, can I get a sweet tea? Because we had it here in Bushville. But they didn't have it in Fort Lauderdale yet because it was creeping down slowly, like it was a level. And they looked at me again like, what? I was like, I'll just take a Coke instead. So what I'd like to do is, we talk. I got so much to talk to you about, but what I like to do with every guest is kind of go back and, for people who don't know who you are, how did you start? We'll go with this. What was the first sport you fell in love with, and like just give us a background of where you're actually from.
Well, where I was born in Covington, Virginia.
Okay.
Moved to Lewisburg, West Virginia when I was young. My mom's family was from Lewisburg, West Virginia. My dad's family was from Covington, Virginia. I mean, basically, Lewisburg is 15 miles from the border.
Right.
So you basically were kind of like on the border of Virginia, West Virginia. But we moved to West Virginia, and the best years of my life. As far as sports, I really never had a favorite sport at that time because I was just an athlete, right. And whichever season it was in, was my favorite sport. If it was football, baseball, basketball, track, these things was always my favorite sport. The thing about me, you can put me in the category as an athlete, but you also can put me in the category as a very highly competitive athlete. So I was pretty much good at everything because I hated to lose. And I mean, I don't know if you ever heard the phrase, I hated to lose more than I love to win.
Mm-hmm.
So when I lost, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything until I got back on the court. And, I'll tell you a funny story. I was playing golf. A couple of my buddies came down from Lewisburg, West Virginia, this past week, and we played golf. And then we played 36 holes. I shoot 76 on, Shallow Oaks in the Villages. And then later that day, I shoot like an 88. And the 88, I couldn't sleep. And my buddy, when we got to the course the next morning, my buddy was like, "You couldn't sleep last night, could you?" I was like, "Heck no." And I was like, I told Susan, I was like, "I can't wait to go to sleep." And she was like, "How come you can't wait to go to sleep?" And I said, "Because I need to get up in the morning and play golf. And I played so bad that I can't wait to go to sleep so I can get back up and play again." So that's just kind of my competitiveness. It was just off the charts. And then what's really put me in that 1 percentile, because I was just extremely competitive and hated to lose and would do anything I could on the court or on the football field, track, baseball, whatever it was to win. Just losing, I don't know, it made my stomach hot.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It was tough losing, and I did a lot of losing in it for my career too. So It was a lot of bad nights.
You really hit something when you said, you hate to lose. You hate to lose more than you love to win. And there's a lot of people that, like, if you ask them, like, what was your favorite game you ever played in? Well, they might have a few, but they're always going to know the ones they failed in. They never forget those.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go, especially professional athletes are like, I mean, I've heard so many stories. I listen to so many podcasts, especially with athletes, and they're just like, they'll say something they did positively, and it's like they almost erased it from their memory. But the ones that stand out are the ones that, I had a bad night, I had a bad game, this or that, and it was like, you force yourself to do better the next time because, you had such a bad experience or, whatever. But the good ones kind of like, okay, it's like, if you won every game, how boring would it be?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is like for me, I expect to win, and then when you lose, it's kind of like failure.
Mm-hmm.
Winning is, well, I was supposed to win anyway.
Right.
So when you lose, it's like, man, I failed. And, just failing at something is not like something that I like to do. I mean, hopefully a lot of people don't like to fail, but, just failing, it hurt my soul. And it actually drove me to be better too. So, just for example, Stephon Marbury, scored 40-some points on me one night. But what made me better is that after that night, I would circle on my calendar when I had an opportunity to play him again.
Mm-hmm.
But from that failure, I would go back and look at film and study, like, what did I do wrong that I could be better the next time? Yep. What is this guy's flaws? What is his weaknesses? What are his tendencies? So that, my failures made me better because I didn't want to feel that pain again. Yeah. So, but winning, as far as winning, it was just kind of like I expect to win anytime. I mean, pretty much anything that I do, I expect to win.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then I will the next time.
I think failure is a good thing. I don't think you have to like it, or I don't think you want to see failure. But I think it's good to embrace it, because if you won all the time, I think you would never grow. I think you would be so comfortable. There's that comfort level. Like, how many times have you seen a dominant team and their practice might not be what it should be because they're just kind of going through the motions. Oh, well, we know we're the better team. That's why we have upsets. You have the underdog that'll come in because this team thinks they're way better than them, and on paper they might be, but that's not why that's why you play the game. It's not on paper. A lot of Super Bowls would have been flip-flopped if it would have been on paper. It wouldn't look or NBA championships or World Series because the team was way better than the other team. But that's why you do it. But I tell my son all the time, I say, look, just because you don't succeed the first time, that's not a bad thing. And I always tell them, hearing no is not a bad thing. Either you're not ready or, this or that or whatever, the time is not right. And I'll never forget this story, and it was Lionel Richie talking about him. It was on American Idol, and this girl was really gung-ho, I want to be on the show, I want to be a superstar. And he just looked at her and he said, "You're not ready." And he said, "I had to go through the same thing when I was with the Commodores." He goes, "We didn't even know who we were." He goes, "We thought we were just a group that had some kind of thing going on, but we didn't even know who we were. We didn't know we were the Commodores then." He goes, "And that made us do some soul searching and figure out who we were. And that made us 10 times better than what I was going to do if I would have just kind of rolled into it at that point in time." So there's a lot of things that you can do in your life that if you kind of just go through the motions or whatever and you don't experience that journey or that failure, I don't think you take it I think you take it for granted. I think you just kind of, you're like, oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I mean, if you don't fail, then how do you get better?
Right.
And that's been, and when you talk about talking to your son, I've talked to my son a number of times about, failure, and it's good to fail. Do we like it? No, I don't like to fail, but the failures, the one thing about failing is if you fail, you need to get right back up.
Right.
The worst part is if you fail and you stay down.
Right.
Because you can always get better. And, to get to the level of being in the 1 percentile, if it's the NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball, all of them guys have failed at some point in their life.
Absolutely.
And they're at the point of being in that 1 percentile because they have failed. And, the ones that don't make it are the ones that basically give up when they fail. Yep. So, and that's just what really separates the greatness versus, good or greatness is the ones that have failed and get back up and have failed and get back up. Right. I think one of the best commercials I've seen is when D. Wade talked about, "I've failed 7 times, but I've gotten up 8 times."
Yeah.
And I think that's huge when, if you're going to be successful in anything, you're going to fail. Nobody's perfect.
Yep.
So there's so many issues along the way, but if you can learn from them and get back up, then you get better. So, yeah, failure definitely has helped me in my years of getting to that level. I mean, even today with some of the business stuff that I do, I've failed in business, but I just didn't quit.
Right.
Just kept moving and kept moving and,
right.
and kept learning, learn from this failure. And it's helped me be successful.
And I'm glad you said that because it reminds me of myself with, like you said, we all fail. And so even with this podcast, I've learned so much. And the first time that I did it was not like I am now. So I had to fail at a few things, and again, find out who I was, find out what was going on, what this was all about, how to do this, how to do that. And you don't learn by not doing. You got to go and face those adversities where when I have equipment failure, what do I do besides call my buddy Logan? But at first I didn't know, and I'd panic, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got somebody's coming, I've got this going on, and this and this and this and this didn't work, and then it ended up being something very simple. And it's like, you kind of blow it up, the problem bigger than it actually is. And a lot of it's our own, it's up here. It's all in the mind. And so, yeah, I think we all need to go through something like that. And, that's what I love about sports. It prepares you for things in your life when things don't go wrong. We have at our high school we have we have certain points that we make to the kids every, we call them not rules but principles to go by, and the number one rule is focus on the next play. And I love saying that, and I'll never get tired of saying that, because it's not just about sports, it's about your life. You have a bad day, you come home, I had a really horrible day. Well, guess what? You go to sleep, you get up the next morning, you get to do it all over again. How do you where's the adversity? Do you learn from that? Do you go on and do something different? Do you change it? Or do you accept it and then you just go, well, I'm stuck here in a hole. I can't get out. So trying to fight or whatever. So with our kids, we try to implement that rule. Is number one rule is focus on the next play, because no matter good or bad, hey, we scored 3 touchdowns. Well, you can still lose the game. Mm-hmm. If they score 4, guess what? You lost the game. So you still have to focus on what's coming up next. And so I just think it's a very, very good point for any young person. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be an 80-year-old man, and you're going to learn something different, or you're going to fail at something. We were talking about, as you get older, your body starts to, not deteriorate, but it does. It starts to break down, and you need to understand. You either accept it and just go, hey, I can make the best of it, or you go, I'm not going to do anything about this, and then you kind of just let it go. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, but like I said, for kids in general, young kids, young athletes, young adults, they always think, if I'm not doing this, if I'm not getting 50 recruiters looking at me, or if I don't have done this by this time, everything's done by a time frame for some reason. I don't understand why, even when you're like, I want to be 25 and married and have kids. What if that's not the way it's supposed to be? Yeah, don't rush that. It'll happen. Yeah. So I mean, it varies on everybody's situation, and not everybody goes through the same thing, and that's because that's life. We do different things, but I mean, for a long time, I would kind of be down on myself because I'm like, all right, I'm a certain age. I could be 30 years old. I'm like, I don't have this, I don't have that. And you can't do that to yourself. You'll drive yourself crazy. CY Western Company is located in Bushnell, Florida. It's a great place for boots, clothing, gifts, and accessories for the whole family. They are a family-owned and operated business that opened in 2008. They offer free gift bagging and layaway services, and also a 10% discount for 4-H and FFA members with proof of membership. Be sure to like them on Facebook, where customers can stay updated on sales and giveaways. You can find them next to Lowry's True Value Hardware in Bushnell, open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturdays, 9 to 5. Be sure to check out CY Western Company.
Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, served at Lake Panasoffkee and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 34 years, we have strived to serve great food at good prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our wings and burgers are the best around. We have our daily specials too. We are open Wednesday through Saturday. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information.
Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing gear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kenningston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. Stitching Heifers is your one-stop shop for embroidered and printed hats, custom patch hats, and trending graphic tees that can be fully customized for you, your company, or your next big event. Whether you need a single design or a whole company's worth of branded gear, they've got you covered. Come see us at 110 Bushnell Plaza in Bushnell. Shop in-store or browse online anytime at mponmaine.com and thestitchingheifers.com.
Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Panasoffke's only craft beer tap room, offering 12 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beer, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub food. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app.
Whether your water supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. If you're looking for real fun and adrenaline in Central Florida, head out to Bushnell Motorsports Park. It's a real outdoor go-karting track in Bushnell with high-speed rental karts that anyone can drive, no experience needed. You show up, they get you geared up, and you're racing. It's a great day to go out with friends, a great date, a great way to spend an afternoon. The high-speed karts are available to anyone 16 and older, and the junior karts are for anyone 10 and older. It's also one of the top spots in the area for corporate events and private parties, birthdays, bachelor parties, team building days, and company outings. They handle the whole thing. Track time, meeting room, trophies, the whole works. To learn more or to plan your race, visit BushnellMotorsportsPark.com. That's BushnellMotorsportsPark.com.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, in coaching, because I've coached also, one of the things that I try to relate to, just get my kids to understand is that, let's be in the present. Let's focus on the day.
Yep.
There's nothing that we can do about the past. It's gone. You can't change what you've done yesterday. So let's really focus on the present. And tomorrow is not a given.
That's right.
So you don't know if you're going to be there tomorrow. So let's focus on the present. And if you can think about that, because it's a gift, it's a present.
Yep.
So let's focus on today. Can we learn from what we did yesterday? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's nothing we can do about what happened yesterday because now it's gone. So let's really focus on today. It's just like we have kids that make a bad play on the basketball court. Well, they let that play linger on for 2, 3, 4 possessions, and then that's 2, 3, 4 more bad possessions because you're worrying about what's happened 4 possessions ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't do anything about that now,
right?
But learn from it.
Right.
So you got to have like that short memory as far as, okay, there's nothing I can do about, but I can do better now. Like turning the basketball over, like one of my mottos, or not even a motto, but what I try to relate to the kids. You turn the basketball over and you put your head down, now we have some issues because you didn't get back. You're worried about making that turnover. Yeah, I don't want you to make a turnover, but the worst part of making a turnover is you putting your head down and pouting and worrying about that turnover.
Yep.
Well, you turn the basketball over, you sprint back on defense, and you get after it.
Yep.
I don't worry about the turnover now.
Yep.
It's gone. There's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
And then it's actually part of the game.
Yep.
A turnover is a turnover. So what you do next is super important. So that's kind of how, the message I give to the kids that I teach. Let's learn from what's happened yesterday or in the past, but there's nothing we can do about it but get better today.
Yeah, I was going to say, on the turnover, I see it all the time, especially because I think we do put a lot of pressure on the young athletes. And I coach my son's, he's in 12U football. And sometimes you almost forget they're kids.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, and I'm totally guilty of that because you work with them so much that you go, man, it's like, we've been over this and you should know this. But then you don't take into consideration that their head is, I mean, they're looking around like they're like in a space cadet, looking in the clouds for some reason, and it's a lot on them. But like you said, with the turnover, I just like the thing I just realized is now it's 5-on-4 because this kid's got his head down. Well, you can't go play defense because you're over here pouting.
Yeah,
and it's so important to go make a play. Yeah, we always we have a coach. Coach Gauntlet says when you're around the ball, good things happen. Mm-hmm. And he's our defensive coordinator. So I mean, he's wanting you to be around that ball because that creates opportunities. Well, if you're not around the ball, there's no opportunities.
Right.
Whether or not it's good or bad, if you did turn it over, okay. Well, if I don't get back to the ball, I can't try to get it back. So you could not only do you give it away, you could also take it away.
Absolutely.
Which they forget that.
Yeah.
Again, they're kids.
they're kids, and you know what? It's hard coaching kids. Especially. As a former NBA player, I think one of the things that I learned, and this is something that I had to learn, and it was like not only my son, but my ex-wife at the time who, she spent 14 years watching me play basketball in the NBA and 4 years in college and all of that stuff. So she knew the game. But I can remember her one night saying, you get so angry at these kids, but you got to realize the kids are not you.
Yeah. And
I had to think about that and was like, hold up, she's exactly right. I'm expecting a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid to see everything that I see on the basketball court and wondering why you're not seeing it. And I'm asking, I used to say, use my son example. You didn't see that? How come you didn't see that?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Well, then, she was like, well, you're a point guard. You played in the NBA. Your job is to see everything on the basketball court. Now you're expecting a 15-year-old kid to do what you did as a NBA player. And that kind of hit home for me for a little bit. And I actually became a better basketball coach when I started to understand that these kids are not me. They're kids. And their attention span, for one, is like that, mm-hmm. And I knew that. Like, I could tell my oldest daughter, go upstairs and grab that book off the table in your bedroom. Well, she would go upstairs and then come back downstairs and say, what do you want me to get? So it's the same thing with basketball, So I'm just kind of like, I have to realize, or I had to change the way I coach because the kids wasn't me. Yeah. And it made me a better coach because I realized that, and it helped me teach them. And my son became a better basketball player because now I was teaching instead of expecting them to do things that I used to do.
Right. What I learned with coaching kids is, and it's very hard. And when I say this, you're going to know exactly what I mean. It's very hard not to get animated or loud because you're in the moment. It's the heat of the moment. But I try my best. I really do. I try my best to talk and not yell. Now, if they're on the field, I'm yelling because they can't hear me if I'm just talking. But I let my kids know. I normally coach D-line. So I tell my kids, look, you look at me, we'll give you the call, and you'll be fine. If you mess up, if you don't get the call, that's my fault. But if you don't look at me, that's your fault. And that's the only responsibility I put on them. If they do whatever they do, sometimes it works out if we tell them to go to the left and they go to the right by accident and it works out and they make a play. I mean, why would you yell at them for that? Right. You went the wrong way. Good job, though. But you went the wrong way. I would never do that. But I'm just saying you never know what happens. But as long as the athlete is willing to, you can tell who wants to learn, who's just out there and they want to do whatever they want to do. But I catch myself sometimes. I go, I realize you're only 12.
Yeah.
What was I like at 12? Like, I just wanted to stay home and play Sega, like a Nintendo or whatever. I just wanted to hang out. I didn't want to do anything. So you catch yourself and with Jace, he's 12 now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, some of the things that he might say or what, I'm like, what did I say to my parents? You know what I mean? Like what the differences? You're talking about quite a bit of years in between the gap, but still, it's the same age.
Yeah,
that doesn't change.
It does not, and I mean it's tough. One of the things with coaching is, with the kids, they don't react well to yelling these days.
No.
So
they will shut down.
They will shut down. They don't like that. And, I've learned that too because, I'm very intense when I'm coaching and I get into the game, so I'm very intense. But I had to understand that too by just, the kids, if you're yelling at the kids, they're shut down and you're not going to get anything out of them. So I do know as a coach, you have to get to know every kid and get to know their personalities and what makes them tick and what doesn't make them tick. But I can tell you right now, and you hit the nail on the head, is that they can't handle the yelling.
No.
They can't handle the yelling. It's just kind of like, look me in my eyes and hear the words are coming out of my mouth. And I think that works a lot better than yelling at kids. They just break down. It's this generation of kids are different. I grew up, all my coaches would yell and scream and get after me, and it made me better. But this generation of kids, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't, and I understand times are different, and it's a whole different ballgame. But I can be out on the field and I can look at the kids and try to communicate with them, and sometimes this is my favorite thing, but it drives me insane. But it's so funny because they'll be like, all right, we'll be on the sideline. All right, where's the play going? And they go to the left. Everybody's on board, and there'll be one kid that goes right. And I go, guys, if you have trouble, hold your hands up. And I go, which one makes an L? And I'm not trying to belittle them, but I'm trying to help them in case they go, oh my God, which way is right and left?
I know.
Because sometimes in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh. When somebody's in a panic, they go, what's the number for 911?
That's so funny that you say that because there's so many kids and I'm like, left, and they go right, and I'm going, your other left. And but my oldest daughter has dyslexia and ADD, and and it's funny that you do that. I can say left, and she'll go, okay, I'll go that way.
Yep.
But it's just the way kids are today. And it's just a different generation. Doesn't mean that they're not as good as us. They're just different.
Yeah. Speaking of being in your adolescent years, what was it? What was the very first sport that you remember that you fell in love with? I know that you were a multi-sport athlete, but what was the first sport that you kind of like? When you played it, not only did you enjoy it, you go, I think I'm pretty good at this.
Well, football was the first sport that I actually played organized, and I was 6 years old. And I don't even think, I remember like it was yesterday. I wasn't even old enough to play. And I actually signed up myself as a 6-year-old and went and played football. Wasn't old enough to play. But this is in Covington, Virginia, and I went signed up for Pee Wee football, and of course, you could never do that today. Go sign up as a 6-year-old by yourself. Yeah. It just wouldn't fly. But I did, and loved it. I was actually kind of a hothead too. So just me hitting somebody was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't want to be hit, but I loved to hit people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, football was probably my first love, but then it just went from sport to sport to sport. And
Gotcha.
my thing was I loved to compete, and I never knew how good I was. And I think that's one of the reasons that I always continue to I got better and better and better and better and better every year.
Right.
Because I didn't know how good I was, and I always thought I was going to not make the team or get cut. Even when I got into high school, when, everybody was like, this kid is special.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. So I would worry about getting cut. So
Right.
that would push me to play hard. Like, I played so hard. Like, that's one of the things that that I think that was special about me is like nobody on the court was going to play as hard as me.
Right.
And that's in any sport or anything that I did, sports wise. I just played super hard. Like, I gave everything I had on every single possession. And I just went from one sport to the next, But I will say, as I started to get older, basketball probably was my love. I was probably a football player at heart.
Right.
But I loved basketball. Like, football season, after football practice, I would go play basketball.
Gotcha.
And I would even play in the rain. I would shovel the snow off the courts. And, I did all of this stuff by myself. So even though I was in football season and loved football when I was in football season, I was always going back and playing basketball.
Right.
Same thing with football, baseball, same thing with track. After baseball. And the crazy thing, in high school, I played baseball and track, and it's the same season. So there was one game where I was on I was playing baseball, and I had to go run, and then I went and ran, and then came back and and finished the baseball game. So basketball is my first love. Football, I started first, and when I was in football season, I just loved football. And same thing with baseball, same thing with track, but I was always revert back to basketball.
What position did you play when you were in football?
I was a quarterback and a DB. I was actually recruited as a DB instead of a quarterback. I had tons of offers for Division I for football. Our football coach, I can always remember him saying, you'll be a great DB in the NFL. And he tried to push me to go to college to play football, but my mom pushed me to go play basketball instead because she was always worrying about getting hurt.
Right.
But I was a DB and a quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of players end up being professional. Their moms have a lot of input on that as well. Didn't change the sport, but it reminds me of Randy Moss. His mom, I guess he was from West Virginia as well.
Yep.
Him and Jason Williams. I didn't realize they went to school together. But he had 5 or 6 offers. You had your standard 5 visits, and so he picked Florida State and somebody else. And he said his mom said something about him going on another visit. And he's like, yeah, I got 3 left. And she goes, no, you got 1 more left, or whatever. Like, it was like she only cut into 1 more, and that's when I guess he went to Marshall and he checked out Marshall or whatever. But it was funny how his mom was like, he's like, but Mom, I got 5 visits, and she goes, I don't think you hear me. You got 1 more. You get 3 altogether.
Yeah, Mom's controlled a lot of things. That's for sure. When you grow up as in your mom, my mom was a single parent. My dad wasn't kind of in the picture, so I was the oldest of 3, and you form that relationship with your mom. Like, she is your rock, and she's there, and no matter what was going on, she was always positive. And so yeah, when she was like, I don't think you should play football. I think you should play basketball. I don't know if I can handle you getting hurt. I can remember one time I got hit so hard, and basically knocked me out. I was laying on the field, and when I came to, my mom was looking right at me. Like, look, later on they tell me, well, she jumped over the fence and she ran out on the field and she peed her pants. So, so that was her way of saying, no, you're not going to play football because I can't sit through these moments if you get hurt.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. But that's a mama for you. She was concerned about her baby boy.
She was, and of course I was her oldest, and she had me at a young age too as well. So, we were close in age. So, but my mom was my rock, and she's the reason that I was successful. She worked 2-3 jobs, and I really looked up to her, for her strength. And I got a lot of that from her.
Amazing work ethic, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you don't have anything, like nothing, no money, nothing, and to be able to take care of 3 kids and work two, three jobs, and you see that. Here's this person that'll do anything for you, and is working her butt off to do it. Is coming home and being tired and changing clothes and going to another job just to put food on your table. That's something, when you're playing a sport and have to work hard for a sport, it makes it easy. I think one of the things that I heard Gary Payton say one time, and it just stuck home to me, was like, somebody asked him about pressure of playing a sport or shooting a free throw, and the pressure of shooting a free throw with no time on the clock and you got to make 2 free throws. And he was like, pressure is raising 3 kids with no money. That's pressure.
Yeah.
Shooting free throws is playing sports is not pressure. That's pressure. Taking care of kids and not having any money. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So I've always remembered that, and it made things so true because, in the fourth quarter, there's people always like, there's so much pressure in the fourth quarter. Well, why is there pressure in the fourth quarter? There's no pressure in the fourth quarter, really. There's no difference in the fourth quarter than the first quarter.
Right.
The free throw line is still the same. The rim is still the same. You're still playing the same things, but you put that pressure on yourself because it's the fourth quarter.
And there's running out of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
But really, there's no pressure in playing a sport. It's everything outside of the court, for me, is what pressure really is.
Well, when you're talking about your mom, my mom did the same thing, and it's one of those things where you go, you don't realize how many jobs she had on the side, and you never missed a Christmas or birthday or anything, and just you don't realize it till you're older, the sacrifice. Both my parents did, but my mom was just, I don't know, she didn't want us to. She's still that way. I could ask her, for her birthday, it's coming up. I'll be like, hey, Mom, what do you want for your birthday? She's like, oh, I don't want anything. And you're like, no, you got to want something. She never does anything for herself. She always puts her kids or her grandkids first. And I don't know, it's one of those things where you go, I don't know how to thank you for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you just go, you can say thank you 1,000 times, and it feels like you never said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's this is so true. It's just like the things that my mom had sacrificed for me when I was a kid, I never knew as a kid.
Absolutely.
Just like you said, and you hear about these things later in life, and you go, wow. Yep. I was dirt poor, but I got everything I wanted for Christmas. Yeah. Like it was never a Christmas that I didn't get something that I didn't want. Yeah. There was always food on the table. So really, growing up, I was dirt poor, but never knew it. Yeah. But these are the sacrifices that that my mom made to make sure that we had everything that we needed, and she went without because of us. And yes, there's things I don't think that you can ever make that up to your mom. But today, how I try to make that up is to make sure that I spend time with her.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the most important things for her, is that I make the time for her. And I do now. Like, for so many years, I was so busy, didn't go home to West Virginia, basketball, kids, life, that I didn't put that time in that I think my mom needed. But now, as my kids have gotten older,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wanting to spend more time with my kids and realize that they have their own lives, that I make sure that I make the time for my mom. Like, next week is Mother's Day, so I'm going to West Virginia to go to church with my mom and have dinner with my mom and spend the day with my mom. And that's going to be the world for her.
Yep.
And that's one of the things. My sister called me and was like, hey, you came home last year, you spent time with mom, and that made that made her so happy. Are you going to do that again? And I'm just like, absolutely. So, there's like little things like that. I think nothing can ever make up for what she's been through and what her sacrifices that she's made over her life for me. Mm-hmm. But I can, by me being there and doing things with her, even if it's just going and staying at our house and sitting on the couch and having conversations with her, means the world to her.
Thanks for watching this part 1 of a 3-part podcast. Stay tuned for part 2 and part 3 coming soon.